Look what we have here. We have a package from MiGardener. Yes, we do. A seed package. Let's rip this open and see what we've got inside. Yes, one-handed, ripping this open. So exciting. Wait for the reveal. What do we have here? We've got some seeds, and guess what? I didn't even pay full price. They were on sale. There was a sale code. You should check on their website to see if they still have it. It was like 25% off. I was so excited. And I was looking for dragon tongue bush beans. These are actually my favorite beans, one of my favorite beans to grow. They are so prolific, and they grow relatively fast too. So if my ankle heals enough to go outside, I would love to plant some of these before it's too late. I got 25 seed packets, and they are usually $2 for a packet. But again, I'm pretty sure I got them for 20 or 25% off. And so they do that because of the packaging. They know we're getting towards the end of the season. It's packed for 2026. They will still grow in 2027 or 2028. But every year you lose a little, maybe possibly, a small germination rate might go down just a little bit. So that's why they give you kind of a deal. They don't want to have to also repackage it. The packaging itself is almost as expensive as the seeds themselves. So having to repackage it for the labor and the materials and the ink and all that for 2027, if they did another germination test, that would cost a lot. So they're giving out some good deals at this time of year. But I absolutely love dragon tongue beans. They grow very fast and they're very easy. So if you want to have a child's garden or like a garden for a young gardener, new gardener, whatever, this is a great way to go. They don't take a long time. Does it say on here how long it takes? I can tell you right now, if I plant them right now, I would be fine. I would definitely get a crop because it says it takes 8 to 10 days to germinate. That's interesting. I think they can germinate faster than that. If you soak them, if you do the soaking method and you soak your beans before you plant them, even if you soak them for a couple hours, you could do an experiment and see a couple hours or overnight. I usually will soak them like in the morning and then plant them in the evening. You can soak them overnight too, but I usually am a little too anxious and want to do it right away. But these are really awesome. They can eat them fresh. The pods are tender, juicy, and stringless. They're sweet, nutty flavor. You can steam or pickle them too. So, you can also harvest them at a smaller stage. So even if you're running out of time, you can still get a harvest, and the more you pick, the more you get. So they're absolutely beautiful, and I like to save the beans for the next year as well. Next on my list is called Golden Beet, and I actually do have a lot of golden beet seeds somewhere that I harvested from my own golden beets. But these are great. If you don't like beets, I'm telling you, give golden beets a try. These are golden Detroit. They don't have I don't want to say that regular beets have like a earthy flavor. It's like tastes like you're almost eating a little bit of dirt in your food. But a lot of people pick up on that flavor, and that kind of like ruins beets for them. Golden beets don't have that. They taste kind of like an apple and a carrot had a baby. So if that didn't sell you on golden beets, then I don't know, like why are you wasting your time? They literally taste between a carrot and an apple. And I've eaten them raw before, and they aren't bad. Not even cooked. Of course, I would prefer them cooked. But, what I'm trying to say is they are very good. They are that good. So they are golden. Also, if you don't like the stains of course, you're probably not getting the same antioxidants or whatever. They're still going to be very good for you. You can also still eat the greens. So the greens are also healthy to eat, as well as the roots. Pickled beets are delicious. And so you can pickle them. You can eat them fresh. You can put them into stews, all that kind of stuff, into different soups, stews, whatever. I bet they'd even be good fried. Not that I would want to ruin their healthiness by frying them, but I bet they would be good. You could even probably make JoJo's out of them. So like kind of like cut them into like chunks or wedges like you do for potatoes. Put a little bit of olive oil and bake them or whatever. I bet that would be really yummy. I've had rutabagas that way and they are wonderful. So why not with the golden beets? You probably saw these as a little peekaboo earlier. These are Romanesco broccoli. Sometimes they get sold as cauliflower or broccoli. They kind of, to me, taste somewhere in between. They're just really pretty. And the only store I've ever seen them for sale at is at a thriftway, which, by the way, the word thriftway is kind of an oxymoron because thriftways are not cheap. And I looked at the Romanesco broccoli there and I thought, there's no way I could buy that. It's just too expensive there. So I had bought some seeds for Romanesco on eBay many years ago. And from a seller that I don't think was very reputable. And none of the seeds from them sprouted. Not just the Romanesco, but none of them. So I don't really recommend buying seeds on eBay. Although I shouldn't say that because someday I probably will be selling seeds on eBay. But, you know, it is what it is. I'm just saying that, like, sometimes you don't know who you're buying them from. And it might say, you know, from the USA, but it might be like a drop ship kind of thing where they send it to somebody who sends it from that point to here. And so sometimes they get around some of the rules. But, yeah, so the seeds I had before from Romanesco didn't sprout. But none of the seeds I had gotten from that person sprouted either. So just keep that in mind. I have seen Romanesco for sale, believe it or not, at the Dollar Tree. Since Dollar Tree has changed their prices and they're not like $4 for $1 anymore, now it's like $2 for $1.75 or, you know, even more than that sometimes. So it depends on the variety. This has 50 seeds. Also, the Dollar Tree doesn't tell you how many seeds there are. And I can tell you right now by feeling the package, this is more than what they had there. Definitely more. I can feel there's quite a bit of seeds in here. And so I always, when I sell seeds or when I like get my packets ready, I've been mostly donating to the food banks and stuff. If I say there's 50, there's usually twice that because I'll do like a pinch is 5, then 10, 15, 20. But each pinch is probably more like 9 seeds, 11 seeds, 5 seeds, 12 seeds. And so I always round up. I usually do count out the seeds for Bigger Creek and for MiGardener. When I do count them, they usually have a few more than what they say. So that's kind of a nice little surprise. Salvias are absolutely beautiful. This one is called St. John Fire. I have a lot of salvias. I've got some that I don't know what their names are, but I also grow sage. So if you want to grow salvias and you don't have a lot of money for seeds, and you can get your hands on some culinary sage, when they flower, they're really pretty. Mine flower purple and they're lovely. This one is more of a red, and this is going to be something I plant again probably in February, maybe March. I'm going to be planting some things like February, March, not just going April. April gives me 4 weeks. If I plant on the beginning of April, that's 4 weeks before my last frost. But I think I would like to be gardening more of the year. And so, you know, probably March is when I'd plant these inside. And bought bees, butterflies, hummingbirds. Definitely, hummingbirds are going to love these, by the way. And if you ever see on a longer flower like this, like a little hole in the flower bud, on the petals, that's because if a bee can't get in, it will bite a little hole and then it will get the nectar that way. So it's kind of fun to see that. It's kind of like when you go to the beach and you see a hole in a seashell. That means that a moon snail has drilled a hole and sucked out its contents. So kind of neat. If you find a little hole drilled at the end of, or bitten into the end of a flower, that's because the little fat bee couldn't squeeze its body into it. And it was like, that yummy, tasty nectar will not get away from me. Haha. And it just chews its way in. Pretty cool. The next seeds I have here are Moringa. And I really shouldn't be wasting my money on Moringa seeds because I've got a lot. But I don't know if mine are viable. So I thought what I would do is I would plant these and then I'll do a comparison with the other vendor I get my seeds from. I buy my seeds, moringa seeds, or I have a pound at a time. I usually buy 1,000 moringa seeds. So many years I was doing experiments with moringa, and of course I live in Washington. It is way too damp in Washington for moringa, but I keep trying. And if anybody gets it right in this state, please tell me your tricks. So I've learned some things with moringa. You can soak this. I peel off. It helps to like not have a rot and have things breaking down before their time. But if you like rip off the paper on the outside, and then you soak them until they sprout, and until you see the little root sprouting out, then take the seed and put it into a pot. That seems to help. So if I just plant directly into a pot, I rarely would get anything to germinate. I kind of think that maybe they might rot in the soil before they have a chance. Moringa grows in really dry, hot climates and very poor soil. So you don't even want to have a really good soil. You don't want it to be too rich. And you also want it to be very long because they have a long taproot. By the way, with that root, that really long root, it doesn't like to be disturbed. So if you have to transplant it or up pot it, it's going to suffer. So it's almost like you want to have a very compostable pot, or a way of transplanting it without disturbing the roots whatsoever. And if you're planting a lot of seeds because you're not sure the germination rate and so forth, ideally I would just plant one seed in a very giant pot. But you don't know which ones are going to sprout, and you don't have 1,000 giant pots, do you? So what I would do, and this worked for me, is I would take a paper towel or napkin or a coffee filter, and I would line a pot. And I got to a point where I started punching holes, like with a hole puncher, in the pot, or tearing little holes. And that way, when you transplant it, the roots can get out, and that the paper towel or whatever you're using, newspaper or whatever, will break down fast because the roots will hit it and then start rotting, right? So you want them to be able to get out. Then when you up pot, you do it very carefully. Do not overwater them. Don't give them very fertile soil. They do like heat to germinate, so I would probably use a grow mat if possible, or really good weather. They can't stand being cold at all. So our nighttime temperatures in Washington, the big thing I had with moringa that really did me in was the constant dampening off. So dampening off, it basically looks like the top of the plant has fallen off. It'll just be missing sometimes. And I thought maybe it was, insects or slugs or rodents outside or something. But dampening off just can happen from our climate. So if I had a way of keeping them dry, that would probably work better. I've been thinking to grow them as an annual, and that's kind of sad to me, but it's like just to have the mentality of growing them as an annual in our colder climate, and that way when they die, you don't feel so bad. If you think of it this way, most people who are buying 1,000 moringa seeds, they're buying it for the medicinal purposes, and they're basically ingesting the seeds, which I'm not saying you should do that. But there are a lot of different cultures that believe in ingesting the seeds for diabetes. There are people who actually will drop the seeds into dirty water, and then as the seeds go down, they actually attract the filth gets attracted to them. So they're used for water purification, and they're used for medicine. So I'm not a doctor. I'm not a dietitian. I am not a whatever. So I'm just a gardener like you. So if you would do your own research, please do your own research. I can tell you that the roots of the moringa, the tree, have neurotoxins. So people will say the entire plant is edible. So you can eat the leaves, you can use the seeds, and all of that. But the roots are a neurotoxin. So please, when someone says the entire plant is edible, don't just trust that, because when they say the entire plant, they might mean 2 parts of the plant. Oh, like the stem and the leaves, or like for carrots, the stem and the leaves, or the modified root and the leaves are edible. Or like, let's say when you're eating cauliflower, you can eat the flower, but you can also eat the stem. Or with certain things, like you can eat the flower head of the sunflower, but you can, with the immature seeds, but you can also eat the mature seeds. But sometimes people say the entire plant is edible, but it might not be. So please do your own research on every plant you hear about, especially people who are not like on a paid program. I'm serious, you guys. People on paid programs will be less likely to tell you all the benefits of something because they're afraid of being fined or sued or something. But some people get a little bit of knowledge, and a little knowledge can be dangerous. So please stay away from the roots. Do not ingest the roots whatsoever. But these are going to be worth trying. Now, I was interested in possibly trying the dwarf moringa, but you can basically prune moringa trees too. So if you have a big pot with a moringa, and let's say it's 10 feet tall, which it can grow 10 feet, like very fast, like in less than a year. So what you can do is you can top it off, and then it will bush out, and then top it off, and then it'll bush out again, and it'll just become a little moringa bush. And that's kind of what I would be going for if I could get it to do its thing for me at all. So I'm going to keep trying. I will not give up on this plant. It's called the drumstick tree. It's also called the miracle tree. And this is on Moringa oleifera. There is another tree in the same genus, but this is Moringa oleifera. It grows very well in dry hot locations like Africa and India. And I think this would be great to grow in Southern California. Grow it. And I also think it would be great in Mexico. So honestly, anybody who is in those hot, dry areas where you don't get colder than 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and stays pretty warm all year, growing moringa, even doing a little gangster growing, like, I'm serious. Dig a hole, drop a seed, and walk away. Don't bring an apparatus. Don't bring a shovel with you because you'll get caught and get in trouble. But literally, stick a stick in the hole. Walk with a stick. Stick the stick into the ground. Drop a seed. Step on it. Maybe drop a little bit of your water bottle on it and walk away. And do a little gangster. I hope to see a lot of gangster gardening with moringa. Please do it. I don't need more carrots, but and I don't know why I decided to put a few carrots on the order, but I have like a pound of chantenay and tender sweet, but I saw the yellow carrots and I thought that would be just fun. So growing some carrots of different colors. I do have some reds at home, and some white, and some that are like kind of rainbow, different colors mixed together. But I just think it would be fun. And you can eat the carrot greens and the stems. So you kind of get a 2-for-1 here if you actually take advantage of the greens being edible. I think the greens on a sandwich or chopped up in soups would be beautiful and just really tasty. If you want to get seeds, you can take some of the greens the first year, and then the second year you don't harvest all the greens because you want there to be enough energy for there to be seeds the next year. The second year they'll go to flower. The flowers are beautiful. They will look as pretty as Queen Anne's lace in a bouquet, and they smell neat. Also, you can save your seeds, and you'll never have to buy seeds again. You'll probably get more than that number of seeds in one carrot. So just make sure that you're saving seeds from a carrot and not something else. There are relatives that can cause dermatitis, can cause some skin irritations that are related and look like Queen Anne's lace. They look like carrots. I forget what they are. They even look like parsley, but it's the whole reason why Queen Anne's lace has a bad reputation. But they can grow in other areas. So be careful what you harvest as your seeds is truly carrot and not a weed that blew into your yard or something. But I got the yellow carrots. I also got some carnations, And I keep giving you peekaboos of what else I got here. So I've got carnations. This is, can't say that is French for something, Chardonnay, orange sherbet. And I got it for the color because in my childhood, I remember going to like not just the ice cream, like the little ice cream truck, whatever, but whenever it was a hot day and you went into like a gas station, they had those freezers on the side that you pull open sideways, and they'd always have orange sherbet push-ups. And so I've got this like fascination and just love of this orange color that reminds me of orange sherbet ice cream as a child, and those little push-ups. And so I got these kind of to reminisce over my childhood. So I thought that would be kind of nice. Now it does say to cold stratify, basically. No, it doesn't. No, it says 6 to 8 weeks before last frost. It doesn't say cold stratify. Why did I think that? If it's popular in the Mediterranean, it smells nice. Oh yes, that's one thing I was surprised about. So I bought some carnations on sale on a clearance rack years ago, and every year they pop back up again. The leaves, when they first come back in the spring, they do look like a weed at first. And you're like, oh gosh, I should pull this out. And then I thought, no, what did I plant there? And they were carnations. So be careful when you plant carnations that you label them, because you might think that they're a weed when they first start coming up. And if you go to clearance racks and you see carnations, they are perennial. And so plant them, you'll get them to come back in the next year. It's really nice. But I smelled them and I was like, wow. No one ever talks about carnations smelling nice, because the ones in bouquets that you buy at the grocery stores and stuff, they don't smell nice to me. But the ones that are wild grown, they just have a really nice, I wanted to say taste, but aroma, you know what I mean, fragrance. So start them indoors 6 to 8 weeks before last frost. So probably could start them, February or March next year, and then I'll have them, forevermore. I already have some Nadapeno peppers, and 10 seeds for $1.50 or $2 is a lot to pay, but since I'm divorced, and I used to always plant the spicy peppers for my ex-husband, even though I can't handle the heat. I can't take the heat. Nadapeno is not spicy, and I like jalapeno poppers, so let's give them a try. These Nadapenos are going to be for next year, because jalapenos, all kinds of peppers, you're going to want to start them a couple months, 2 or 3 months before your last frost. I actually, when I was most successful planting peppers from seeds, I started them in January. So I'm going to start my peppers in January this year, because what else am I doing in January? It's depressing for people who are gardeners in January. So I'm going to be growing peppers in January. Of all of the things, all of the different crops that are heat loving, I would start my peppers the soonest. They are very slow. They can take 2 or 3 weeks to germinate, sometimes a month. So if you're starting them in January and they first sprout in February, then you have 2.5 more months before you have to transplant them. And they are pretty small compared to tomatoes when they're first growing. So trust me on this. If you're going to start plants inside, start with your peppers. Then I would do like maybe the eggplants, maybe ground cherries, or tomatillos, and then tomatoes. And then all the other ones, I don't think I'd start them inside. I'd just direct sow them, honestly. They're way easier than having to transplant them and up-pot them a million times. So unless I had to, I think I would just start with all of my peppers, eggplants, tomatillos, ground cherries, tomatoes. There might be a few flowers I would start early. And I break my own rules all the time, so don't listen to me. I got a couple packages of the round zucchini because they're awesome. And even though they were one of my ex's favorites, they were my favorite first. So I'm going to stay with what I like. They're only 15 seeds per packet. There's probably a little bit more than that. But I love the size of these zucchinis also. Also with the round zucchini, what's kind of cool is you can take the top off and kind of scoop it out, and you can stuff them. So that's fun. You can stuff them. Stuff it. You just like with you can stuff certain types of tomatoes. They actually have some that are better for that than others. I think they're actually called stuffer tomatoes, and they're like obviously named appropriately. And then I love bell peppers, but you can do that with these as well. So that's kind of a neat thing to do. Also, I love zucchini bread, and these are going to grow a little bit faster. They are pretty small, and if you look on here, you could probably still do them right now in July and still get a small crop. So these are awesome. I have a lot of snap peas. Now be careful. If they call them sweet peas are not edible. Sweet peas are flowers. I don't know if they can cross or not. If you know, please comment below. That's something I've been worried about, so I should have looked it up already. But sweet peas are flowers. They smell amazing. Be careful, because they do look a lot like the sugar snap peas. And if you have toddlers and stuff and they ate them, I wouldn't want something horrible to happen. So if you know more about the sweet peas, please comment below. A gardener recently gave me a handful of the sweet peas because I admire the flowers in her garden. And she gave me a handful of her seeds. So I will plant them, but I'll plant them away from where my grandchildren will be harvesting. But these are called sugar Ann Snap Peas. And Ann is my middle name. Now, of course, mine is Ann with an E, like it should be, obviously. Ann with an E, like from Anne of Green Gables. Okay, Ann with an E. And then I have lots of family with the name Ann or Anna and all kinds of stuff like that. So I thought that would be fun to plant a named variety. I have just been doing like the fast-growing, prolific types of sugar snap peas. But Sugar Ann is adorable. I love it. 42-day tomatoes. Now, don't forget, this is after you have actually started them inside. So if I started these inside in January, February, March, okay? Then, once I transplant them out into the garden in May, 42 days from that point is when you get a harvest. So that's nice. That's really nice to have a harvest so fast. And so, like it says here, 6 to 8 days, 8 weeks. And then it also takes a week or a week and a half for them to germinate. So you take a week and a half, okay, plus 8 weeks, plus 42 days. That's the problem that people make with tomatoes. They see the number of days and they go, oh my gosh, 42 days or 75 days or 80 days. But it's that number of days plus the number of weeks that you started them inside, plus the days to germinate. And with peppers, it can take a long time to germinate. So a lot of people stop watering the plants and they just go, oh, they didn't germinate. They throw the soil in with the rest of the soil or toss it out. Then they end up getting volunteers. So not that that's wrong. I like volunteers. I bought 2 packages of the 42 days. And then my free packet here is a salad bowl mix. And they spell complimentary wrong. Complimentary. So I'm waiting for it to say something nice to me. You're pretty. You're nice. You're smart. You can do hard things. What compliment would you like? You're a good gardener. You're generous. Complimentary. It's going to compliment you now. All right, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed the seed haul. Pop a comment below in the comments. Pop a comment in the comments. What was your favorite variety from today's seed haul? Again, kind of quick rundown. What did I buy? I had dragon's tongue beans, great for beginners. By the way, they say bush beans, but they are a little bit of a runner. I'd call them a half runner, so I'd give them some support. Golden Detroit beets, Romanesco broccoli, yellow carrots, orange sherbet carnations, St. John fire salvia, Moringa oleifera, sugar and peas, Nadapeno peppers, brown zucchinis, and 4A2-day tomatoes. And then the salad that wants to give you compliments. You're great. God loves you. In Jesus' name, amen. Be good, be sweet, grow garden if you want to eat, and I'll see you next time.